So hey everyone, welcome to this class. Welcome Erica, Steve, David, and 808. I forget who that is, but I'll find out who that is. Welcome everybody. So I am Beth McCarty, of a network marketing coach and also shrink of MLM, and this is Jeffrey David Gamble with My Leadership Network. And we're partnering to bring you this generic training, the Quick Start Basics for Network Marketers, the 10 Core Commitments, every Sunday right here at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Part of our generic school for network marketers, the MLM Millionaire Club. Our purpose is to help people grow, to educate, equip, and empower entrepreneurs and create independent servant leaders. We want to raise the bar in this profession, and we believe we've been really doing that. We're super excited to have you join us tonight. Our goal is to equip and empower you to entertain and educate you on the basics of building your business. Our goal of this school is to teach you how to build a strong and profitable business. I'd like to welcome our new members, Erica, who's on here tonight, and all the new members who might be hearing the recording. So glad to have you on board, and we anticipate helping you to build a strong and profitable business. Before we get started, though, I want to let you know about announcements coming up, so you may want to grab a paper and pen for the whole thing, actually, because it's going to be jam-packed. The MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show is a noon Eastern Time, Monday through Friday class that Jeff and I have been teaching every weekday. We've been doing this for a year now. And this is our year anniversary on June 18th of this class. And we are celebrating this month by teaching Think and Grow Rich. So we're actually on the last half of the last chapter of that book. On Monday, we'll be covering the he calls it the seventh evil to face, because in that chapter he talks about how to outwit the 6 ghosts of fear. If he has a seventh evil in there, which he calls negative influences. So we're going to be teaching on that tomorrow, how to avoid the negative influences, how to not be susceptible to them. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that tonight too. And Wednesday night is a deeper dive into leadership. It's an inner circle class within our school called MLM Leadership University. And this is one that some of you are in it already, and some of you may like to know about it, especially the new people. You might like to know that you can also join us in that class if you want at a discount, because you are part of this class, this Sunday night class of Quick Start Basics. And what we do in there is we cover one book a month of John Maxwell. John Maxwell is the #1 leadership expert in the world, and he's written, I think, over 100 books. And we're currently on this one, which is a very big, thick one. It contains several books. The book that we're covering this month is called Teamwork. And what we're covering this coming Wednesday night is why the power of teamwork, why teamwork is so important. What's the impact of good teamwork? Can my team accomplish the dream? How do I develop a team that lasts? Important stuff. And then the dynamics of teamwork. What are the characteristics of a good team? So those are the topics that we're covering this Wednesday. If you would like information for that, just look in our private Facebook group, the MLM Millionaire Club Facebook group, and scroll down a post or two, and you will see the links about the discount that you can get for this class. So we'd love to have you. It's personal growth at its finest, and it helps you to put into action these 10 core commitments. It takes it to the next level. So it's really an awesome class. We'd love to have you. Also, we do a free class that's open to the public every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We do a Facebook Live, and we cover one of the lessons for network marketers. This one, coming up Tuesday, is going to be how to find people to talk to. And then we have a really cool open house coming up on Sunday, July 7th. People are marking their calendars now, because it's one that you guys can attend, and you can bring your team, you can bring friends. And we're going to have a free book giveaway that day. For John Maxwell books, we're going to give away a bunch, and other personal growth books. So the way that you can get entered into the drawing for that is get your free ticket which I'll post in the MLM Millionaire Club group. I'll do that when I get off. It's easy to find both these links. So you get your free ticket at Eventbrite, and that registers you for the book drawing. You must be present to win. And but we're also going to be teaching something that we already teach you all, and that's how to always get a yes when prospecting. So we're going to go deep into that for everyone attending, but especially for new people. So this is a wonderful place. If you've been telling your team about this school, which a lot of you have, this is the perfect event to bring them to. So they can get a free ticket too. You can send them that link and everybody can get in and get registered for the free book giveaway. So as you may know, new people, just to let you know who Jeff and I are. Jeff, 24 years of network marketing, direct sales, personally recruited over 500 people frontline, personally done over 10,000 presentations, built teams to 11,000 in 7 countries in 3 years. I am a body-mind therapist and holistic health practitioner for 35 years. I was previously full-time network marketer for years as well, helped me raise my son as a single mom. So I know what it takes. I love it. When my company went out of business, I went into personal growth field. Brought this back to network marketers as a generic coach, and I've personally helped hundreds of network marketers break through their blocks and fears and negative beliefs so that they can be who they need to be, who we are meant to be. The 10 core commitments. Getting started right. Be here a year from now. Personal development, market daily, present daily, which we're on tonight. Attend a weekly presentation, attend a weekly core training, attend a monthly regional, attend all company conventions, have a massive monthly action plan. And actually we're doing number 7, which is a core training. So we have that tonight. We're on it. So why do we go over these again and again? Because people need the foundations. People who fail often fail because they neglect the basics, think they're too good for them, think they already know them, which they don't, nearly always. If they fail, they don't know them yet. So we encourage you to attend until you know this so well that you could teach it to your team. And to encourage you to attend, we have a certification for each 10 that you attend. When you keep track yourself, when you attend all 10 of these 10 core commitments or their replays, let us know because we have a certificate for that level. We have 10 levels in all. That means 10 repetitions through the 10 core. The reason to get that certification is because it teaches you the discipline of tracking, helps you get more out of it, and what you get from each one, you get more from each because you bring your intent and your mindfulness. When it inspires others, when you get your certificate, because they know that they can then do it too. They can track it and attend and get a lot out of it and get their certificates. We've been awarding 3rd level certificates so far, so you can be there too. And I like celebration. It gives you a pat on the back because that's important. It's important that you get acknowledgement. I think that's important too. It's one of the basic human needs that we have, is to be acknowledged and to celebrate with each other. So what we do is have a 90-minute lesson, and we turn it off, and we're going to have a Q&A or open coaching questions, starting with what was your favorite takeaway from tonight. So as we go, if you have an insight and you want to take notes, and also we'd love to hear what was your favorite takeaway. And then if you have any questions, tips, or insights of your own to add in, we'd love to hear that at that time. Okay. Just some of the things people have been saying is for 2.5 years and not ever ranking. 2 months ago I used the favor script, which we teach here, and the tips, and finally passed that first rank and more than halfway to the next. So this is just one of the dozens and dozens of results that people are getting by using the favor script, and what we're teaching tonight is how to present. So over to you, Jeff.
All right, awesome. So today, guys, what we're going over is basically presentations. So this is something usually people avoid like the plague. I mean, they're like anything but presentations. It's funny because I was thinking about this, where people will sign up into relationship marketing, and the word marketing is literally in the vocabulary. It's like in the title of what you're signing up for, and then people are trying to find a way to get out of marketing. They're like, oh my God, I want to do anything but that. I want to sign up and I want to be successful, but marketing is absolutely not what I want to be doing. And what I can say is you're probably, if you were sold that, you're probably in the wrong space. But what I can tell you is anybody can get good at marketing. Most people think that you have to be born with some weird gift of being able to excite people. And the presentation is not about exciting people. And presentation is not about convincing people. And it's not about overcoming objections. Although all those things can be helpful. Presentations are not about, having the best presentation, but there are a couple key things to getting the presentation done. Number one that I find is most people, number one, are just not good at setting up and getting in front of people. The invite in network marketing is usually not good. And what I mean by not good, and most of you are here simply because the invites that you've been given in the past have been geared towards, they're kind of like the classic, hey, are you interested in making more money? Hey, I started a business. Hey, I've got a business from home. I mean, raise your hand if you've heard any of these. Hey, would you be interested in, the following? Would you be interested in a unique product? Would you be interested in a unique opportunity? And anytime I found you use the words opportunity, or I got involved in a small business, I got involved in a home-based business, because home-based business was really popular. Like, if you used home-based business through the 80s, that was really good. But then it became overused, and it became synonymous with a lot of companies that didn't make it. I mean, that's what a lot of people forget about. I was actually having a conversation here in Las Vegas yesterday, and I just want to give you this. This is a great example about presentations. So I'm sitting with a group of people there, and the team that I was around has been in existence for over 25 years. So people have come and go, but the team environment, they've been around 25 years. That's important to know because there were people at this event that had been around since the very beginning that are not succeeding. So the classic line, stick and stay, and you'll get your pay. I don't know if you've ever heard that, or, slow and steady wins the race, is not true. In fact, Eric Worre happened to show up at this event, for those of you who know him. Eric Worre, he's like, can we please cut that crap out? I mean, he actually said that. I'm plagiarizing him. He's like, we need to cut that shit out. We need to quit telling people that, because that is not true in this space. In marketing, success loves speed. And if you write anything else down, I heard that from every single person this weekend that made anywhere between $50,000 upwards of $300,000 a month. And then even Eric Worre said it from stage, which we know he makes over $1 million a month. If you don't know that, welcome to some information. That's good. So, millionaires and, the people who are on the path to making millions all said the same thing. Success loves speed. The slower you go, the less results you'll have, which only makes sense, right? So getting back to this contact, a lot of people aren't good at the contact, so we butcher it. And because we don't have something to say that is not the classic things from network marketing, we kind of make stuff up, and we try what we think will work, rather than studying what the experts say. And eventually I came up with the contact that we use here inside the school, which is, do me a favor. I want to share with you something I'm working on. So if you happen to run across the right person, you can refer them to us. And I'm actually teaching that to a new guy. I've been talking to him all day, and he's been sending out messages to people, and he's just kind of getting it down. And he didn't feel comfortable picking up the phone and talking to people physically, so he's actually sending it in a text message. And guess what's happening? It's working. Now, people are saying, what is it? People are saying, what company? People are saying, where is it? I mean, all the classic questions that you'd ask if you say, hey, do me a favor, I just want you to hear about something. Now, here's where some of what he did, he messed up. Some of the people he's trying to talk to, he hasn't talked to in 3 years, 5 years plus. So if you receive a text message out of the blue and the first thing somebody says is, hey, I want something from you, that's incongruent with marketing, okay? That's incongruent. We are in relationship marketing. So understand, even in the phrase or even in the title, relationship marketing, relationship comes first. So relationship marketing, you must have the relationship first to be able to market to the person, and you must treat it as the relationship first. So it's people first, business second. So how do you do that? I said, doesn't it make sense that you got a weird reaction from this one particular lady? Because I said, how long have you known her? He's like, well, I knew her for this class. And I said, how long has it been since you've been in that class? 3 years. How many times have you talked to this lady in the last 3 years? He's like, this is the first time since we left class. I'm like, doesn't that sound weird to you? He's like, well, I guess I never thought of it that way. I said, because you're so focused on you, you forgot to focus on them. He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, let's fix it. I would go back, and the very first thing I would say is, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's been so long. I feel like we just talked yesterday because I forgot that class was 3 years ago. I said, doesn't that make sense? He's like, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I said, and I got overly excited because you were such a good person, and because I kind of talked to him about how he knew this one lady. He's like, well, she's such a good person, and she was so well connected. I just thought this would be, such a great thing to put in front of her. I said, which is all fine. I said, I would tell her that. Say, look, I was so excited about, reconnecting with you that I forgot to connect with you first before I asked for something. And I said, now you saved the relationship. And I said, I would get on the phone with her. And I would actually have a conversation, and here's the thing. The rule is you're not allowed to pitch, you're not allowed to talk to her, you're not allowed to set an appointment. You can't do anything with the business at this point. You know why? Because you broke the cardinal rule, relationship first, business second. So it has to be about the relationships. If you bring it up, even if she questions you, you say, look, we can get to that later. Catch up with her. Find out, and I kind of ran through the questions of form, family, occupation, recreation. I said, if you don't have some details about this lady, it needs to be 99% about questions about her and what she's doing, and any way possible you can help her, connect with her. I said, your business comes in another conversation later. He's like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. I said, so sometimes we are so focused on our objective that we forget we're dealing with people. But let's get back to it. Let's talk about the people we know on a regular basis. The contact. So the reason why people don't get to the presentation, number one, is because it's not taught. But the reason it doesn't work well is because we're not able to set up the presentation right. Setting up the presentation involves a time, it involves a place, even if it's over the phone. It involves a time frame and a place and an objective. So I'm kind of mission-driven or mission-oriented. What is the mission of this? The mission, and I use the phrase actually this comes from web design or web development, is we were talking about building this particular website with a friend of mine. And we were talking about, if this was the website page that we were trying to get to, do you know how many website pages there are now online? I mean, literally like hundreds of millions, even billions of pages. So we were all talking about how do you get somebody to get to this page? And what you actually have to do is you've got to write an article or a picture or a video or a joke or some kind of context, and you've got to create some kind of content. That's content. Content is writing or pictures or video, and you've got to place that all over the place. You've got to place it on Facebook and Instagram and everything, and all of that content has to point back to what? That one web page. If you had 1,000, just think about it this way, if you had 1,000 articles that pointed back to that one website, my question is would you get traffic? And the answer is probably. Now, let's multiply it and double it. Let's say you go from 1,000 pieces of content to 2,000 pieces of content. Wouldn't it make sense that all of a sudden you'd at least double whatever you were getting to begin with? and then there's 4,000 and 8,000. Eventually you get past 10,000. If you have a 10,000 pieces of content pointing at one place and the content's good and it was clear and it was concise, then it would make sense that people would go to that website to get more information or whatever they're supposed to do. So I kind of look at this business very similar when it comes to presentations. Is my job is to present to a whole lot of people and make it all point back to me and my company. Remember, think about this, you're not trying to sell your product necessarily, you're not trying to sell your company. If you want people to sign up, do you realize in a lot of companies, somebody can call corporate and say, give me a sponsor, and if they don't list your name, where are they going to go? Does anybody know that? A lot of people don't think like this. Because if you give somebody this much information and they forget who you are, they can call corporate, and you know what corporate's going to do? Corporate's going to give that lead to somebody in the company. So you better this is why the presentation and all marketing inside of network marketing is so important. It's so important because you've got to build it. It's got to come back to you. It's got to come back to your website, not anybody else's. And just sending somebody a link isn't good enough. Why? Because there's thousands of links out there. There's millions and billions of links out there leading to all other places. They got to know you and your name and have to get back to you if you want them to sign up. So, getting back to this weird, what just happened? Getting back to this semi-weird, somebody just came on and unmuted. Okay. Getting back to this really weird story. So I'm talking with this guy, and he basically went from 0 to the top of the commission chart in this one particular company in 30 days. Now, the team has been around 25 years, and there's probably, I don't know, there was a couple hundred people, maybe 300 people upstairs last night that I'm talking to. And one of the guys that's been in for like 15 years that's standing around him. Another guy that's been in for, as long as the company's been around, it seems like. And there's a couple other people. And this guy has made it to the top of the commission chart in 30 days. And we were talking about why he went so fast. He goes, I feel like I'm going slow. And we talked about expectations. And it's really funny that the gentleman who actually recruited this couple, didn't tell him about the weekly meeting that they had. Because he got into presentation mode so fast that he didn't want to take him to the local meeting to expose him to the people who are going slow, because it would lower the standard of activity that he was doing. Because guess what he was doing? He was literally picking up the phone and saying, hey, look, I want you to come take a look at what I'm doing. And it was a version of what we used at the school. It was different, but depending on how he knew the person and the relationship he had. Now, did this gentleman he had some skill to begin with. He had some determination to begin with. But there's always a story behind the story when somebody goes fast. I said, you've been in direct sales before? He's like, yes. I said, and what companies were you with? And I got a bunch of companies that he had been in, and I was like, well, why did you leave that one? Why did you leave that one? What was the reason for you transferring or whatever? And I got all the reasons behind it. And I said, so when you got in here, you wanted to put this in front of people. He goes, yeah, I wanted people to see it, and I wanted people to know that we're going to do it. He goes, he drew out, so his sponsor drew out what he needed to do, and he's like, here's level 1. Watch this. Here's level 1. Here's level 2. Here's level 3, here's level 4, 5, 6. So he had to get all the way down to level 6 to get to the top of the chart. And he's like, okay, so our first objective is right here. He goes, where's the sweet spot in the company? He goes, this is the sweet spot in the company. He goes, how fast do you think you can accomplish this? He said, tonight. He's like, tonight? He's like, yeah, tonight at dinner, this will be done. And literally just picks up his phone. He's like, hey, man, I need you to see this. Hey, man, I need you to see this. Hey, man, I need you to see this. And got 20 people in front of the information in the next 2 hours. And literally in 2 hours went from level 1, went from 0 to level 1 to level 2 to level 3 within 48 hours. So he was going so fast that his sponsor, who ran the local event, didn't tell him about the event. He's like, I don't want to take you in front of all these people who are going to slow you down. He didn't say that, but he told that to us later. And he was like, okay, so what do I do from there? He goes, go help all these people do the same thing you did. He's like, okay, then what? He goes, then go help all those people do the same thing that you did. And he started teaching this. So we got into this conversation about the new technology that's out and the app, and he literally looks at me, he goes, I don't know how any of that crap works. He goes, I kind of come from the old school, like if I can't actually talk to somebody, I'm just really not interested. So far they've put over 100 people involved in the company in 30 days. And just in their team. Which is awful. Is it normal? Yes, it is normal for the people who use these techniques who came from the old school. But here's what's happened. Because technology's come out and people have sold so much crap, is we're all looking for the microwave success. And as John Maxwell says so eloquently, we're looking for microwave success, which is why we have so many Pop-Tart leaders. You know what a Pop-Tart is, right? It's not good for you, it's not nutritional, it's just really quick, and then you're like, ooh, I'm really not happy I ate that afterwards. Because it was garbage and plastic and cardboard. So, and I'm sorry if you eat Pop-Tarts, I liked them growing up because I like sugar and garbage. But I also had cancer by the time I was 20, so do the math on that one. I just throw that warning out there to each their own. So I had this conversation with this gentleman. We started talking about these presentations. And I said, so you were doing one-on-one presentations? He said, yes. And I said, how long was your presentation? So I'm going to give you guys, this is not what we teach. But here was one guy's presentation. He called him. He's like, hey, man, what are you doing? He's like, nothing. He goes, okay, you have 5 minutes to make a decision, and I'm going to need you to do two things real quick. I'm going to need you to get in front of your computer and get out your credit card, because when I'm done, if you're not signed up, there's already going to be another guy in your position. Totally up to you, man. Now, that is a level of posture when you know where you're going. Like, you have to know where you're going to have that level of posture. And the biggest problem is most people don't know where the hell they're going. They're just moving. You know what I mean? They're moving without, watch this, they're moving without a destination, and they're moving without any vision of what can happen. So one of the things you want to do in your presentation is, number one, you want to talk about 5 areas. And I listened to his presentation. He's like, look, the company, and just to kind of briefly say, he gave the company in some specifics. He gave how many people need, or the need that's out there. He gave out the products themselves and the costs. He gave out the compensation, kind of just the basics of the compensation level and the cost to get started. And then he talked mainly about the timing and the team dynamic and the people that he was working with. Those 5 things. Now, he got all that out in 5 minutes. What's interesting is that particular guy that he presented to was standing next to him in Las Vegas, and they are from Maryland. Now, the guy's only been in the company 30 days, so this guy got in 28 days ago and already convinced this guy. This guy's I think he's like 1, 2, 3. He's 3 levels up in the company already. He's not only made his investment back, but he's somewhere in the neighborhood. I mean, we're probably not supposed to talk direct money, but he's made somewhere between $800 and $1,200 based on what he told me. Which isn't amazing money, but it's decent. And he's standing in Las Vegas already. So he's already at his first event in 30 days. The guy who came in knew exactly where he was going. And because he knew exactly where he was going, people were willing to follow him because he started moving so fast. Success loves speed. He started moving so fast that, here's the thing, people didn't want to miss it. Some of you have the contacts in your phone right now that can lead you to where you want to go. You can get to probably halfway up your compensation chart with the people that are sitting on the phone right now. Now, that person may not be the person who gets in, but if you are willing to go through everybody and tell them what you do as a favor, just as a favor to me, I want to tell you what I'm doing, so if you run into the right person, you can refer me. Through those people, you would find the people you needed. So this is where urgency comes in. Now, how do you get to this point? That's the question. People are like, well, how do you get to a point where you know where you're going? How do you get to a point where you're there? It's repetition. It's repetition. It's first of all laying out the pieces of the puzzle and then walking through them slowly and then speeding up. I learned this actually from my ex-girlfriend who was a musician. I go to her practice and stupidly, I have something called perfect pitch. I didn't know what that was called, but when she was playing, I was like, hey, the piano sounds like it's off. And the guy's like, how do you know that? I was like, I don't know, I'm just listening. And that one, like, hit it again. And he played it, and I was like, that one right there, that one's off. I don't know, is there something wrong? He goes, yeah, it's flat. I was like, okay, it just sounded like it wasn't in the sequence. Like, it's just, I can tell it's supposed to be here, and it's here. He's like, oh, okay, that's called perfect pitch. You can actually tell where something's supposed to be. I was like, okay, great. So he goes through and he's doing this, and he's like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to isolate this, and then we're going to repeat it, and then we're going to accelerate it. We're going to isolate it, I. We're going to repeat it, R, and then we're going to accelerate, A. I-R-A. So that's the same way that I teach. I isolate exactly what to say, and then we're going to go through it, and then we're going to repeat it. Then we're going to repeat it again, and we're going to accelerate it. Doesn't that make sense? Like, this is how you teach anything? Well, there's certain things you probably shouldn't teach this way, but in particular, network marketing would work really well. We're going to isolate what we need to do. So what do we need to do? First of all, you have to be able to set an appointment and a time. You can do that through text message. You can do that through a phone call. You can do that through... So I'm just going to give you the ways we've done it. We've done it phone call. We've done it text message. We've done it with Facebook. We've done it with Instagram. We've done it with LinkedIn. Is there anywhere else? Where else do we find people? Twitter?
Yeah, I found people on Twitter,
We found people on Twitter to talk to. Now, most of these people we didn't know. I've gone to networking events. I've pulled business cards off of bulletin boards. I've called street signs. I've called phone numbers that are on the side of cars. You know, because sometimes there'll be like a Mary Kay rep or a whatever rep, and their phone number's there, or janitorial service or cleaning service or whatever. I've found resumes online on Craigslist. I found resumes online at Marketplace for Facebook. We bought leads from Zillion Resumes and Pro Marketing Leads and Fiverr and Apache Leads. I mean, I've bought a lot of leads. Because I own another company, I was able to get access to another database for Workforce One, which is the unemployment office, and I was able to get the 350,000 people in Indianapolis who are basically out of work, who went for help from the government, and they have to basically go through this process of putting a resume together and everything. And we were able to get those leads. That was free, but you had to have a company first, so I guess it cost me money to start the company and everything, and we got into that database, and we were using that database too. But these are just different places they've come from. And here's what's interesting. We have recruited people from every single source. I've done TV ads. I've done radio ads, not for network marketing, but for real estate. I've done street signs that say get paid daily or get paid now, or seeking sales reps, outside sales reps, part-time sales, part-time marketing, part-time recruiter.
Looks like Their internet connection is trying to get Jeff back. We'll see if he gets back here.
I'm back. We're back. Okay. We lost you for a minute. Now we're back. So, in saying all this, 5 keys is the thing is I try to get to sit down or on the phone with 5 to 10 people in the shortest time frame possible that you can get with, let's say, in the next week. Who are 5 people that you can present to? Well, before you present, it's going to keep blacking out. Beth, hold on 1 second.
We can hear you fine right now.
Okay. So I'm going to look for the app on my phone and see if I can switch over to this app just in case so we can get through this quickly. But you want to get it in front of 5 people, but first you want to have the process down. A couple things. You want your company, and you want 3 to 5 points about your company. Then you want the need that you solve in the marketplace. That need could be a need for health, a need for beauty, a need for weight loss, a need for energy, a need for what needs are out there. Now, I like to accomplish the basic needs. A lot of people go for the product with needs. I talk about the needs of people that are beyond the product. I talk about the need for money. That's a good one, right? Because how many people that we talk to need more money? I was like, well, what I realized is people went out and got jobs, and some of them got degrees first. I say got degrees. Obviously, I don't have one because I can't talk. They went out and finished a degree, and then once they had the degree, they went out and worked, and they worked hard, and they worked. I mean, some of them made decent money, and they're still not in a position to be able to get ahead. They're still not able to invest where they want to invest. They're still not able to save what they want to save. They're still not able to pay everything the way they want to pay it. They're still in debt. And when I've said that to people, I'm like, do you know anybody like that? They want to raise both hands, but they're not going to. Why are they not going to? Because nobody wants to agree that they're in trouble. Right? We know they're in trouble. I mean, some of your friends are in trouble. They've called you and asked you for money. You know they're in trouble. Or borrow. Or they've told you about some bad financial situation. They tell you about it. But you can't acknowledge that and or want them to acknowledge that, because then they're lowering themselves down, and people are already, their self-esteem is already hurt. You don't have to hurt it more to get your point across. They just have to, some people like that? Yeah. As soon as they start shaking their head or they kind of agree with you, yeah, that's as far as you need to go. So need in the marketplace. Then you're going to talk half a dozen things about your product and or service that you offer. The solution that it solves. Watch this. The solution, not the details. Let me give you for instance. And have you ever felt tired? You know how sometimes you feel tired after you eat a big meal. I mean, after you eat Thanksgiving, you just want to pass out. After you have a great lunch, you want to pass out like halfway in the afternoon. After you come home and have dinner and you don't have energy after you eat, you want to sit on the couch and just watch TV. Saturday when you wake up, there's things you want to do. I was like, well, what the cool thing is this, particular company came out with a product that you can still have that, but, get some of the energy back and get moving right away. People are like, oh, I'd like, you feel more awake, you feel more alert. That's what people want. Now, here's what doesn't work. Well, the reason 5-Hour Energy is so good is because it has 400 milligrams of niacin in it. And people are like, the hell is niacin? It has 40 milligrams of B6, which is cool. It has 500 milligrams of vitamin B12. Well, that's good. It's got 6 milligrams of caffeine, which can be good and not be good, depending. It has sodium in it. It says it has potassium in it. And it has an energy blend. That's how most people sell their product. Do you see the difference? Like my points is it's kind of cool. You can take it with you. It gives you energy when you need to. I would rather take this than pharmaceutical drug, personally, because I was dealing with ADHD I heard this earlier. He's like, man, I had all of them. I was like, what do you mean all of them? He goes, I had ADD, HDAD, OCD, MP3. You know, he just named off like 15 things I never heard of. And he's like, I had all of them. He goes, so here's the thing. If you call me and I say something wrong, just hang up and call me back. I'll be a different person. The trainer told us that this weekend. He goes, if I'm angry, he goes, call me back, I'll be nice. If I'm nice and you don't like that and you want me to be angry, call me back. I was like, that's good. I mean, he's kind of funny, but he was really transparent, this one trainer. It's very funny. But do you understand the difference between, so you have to evaluate, how are you marketing your product? Are you marketing your product based on stuff people like? Are you marketing your product based on the garbage corporate gave you? And it sounds good to the reps. Because when you're already in and you're a rep, you're like, oh, that's great. It has niacin in it. Yeah, that's perfect. And then you look at your neighbor and you're like, what the hell is niacin? I mean, most of us don't know. Like, niacin sounds good from stage, but niacin, like, to the average person, like, hey, man, this has niacin in it. And they're like, well, I don't know if that's good for you. Like, people will go to McDonald's, order a Big Mac French fries, a large Coke, a Slurpee, cookies, an apple pie, and everything, and they will scarf it down, but then you bring a health and wellness, and they're like, let me see it, let me read the contents. Oh, I've never heard of that. All of a sudden, now you're a health evaluation. I'll be like, how many medications are you on? Don't ever say that to people, but I have said that to somebody before. Because a friend of mine approached me with a bunch of health and wellness products, and I was like, hey, are you still on blood pressure medicine? They're like, yeah. I'm like, are you also on, you know, this and this and this? Because they were on like 15 medications. She's like, oh, yeah, I'm on all these. This is the best health product ever. I was like, just personally, I don't take health advice from somebody on 15 medications. And I learned this. It's a valuable lesson. Just like I never take advice from a customer service person that makes $8 an hour. Especially when you watch this. You'll go buy a piece of equipment from Apple that's $2,000, and then you'll call and get somebody who makes $8 an hour trying to tell you how to fix it. Or maybe $8 a day, depending on where in the world you call. So I just have certain rules about certain companies and products. But when it's back to presenting, it's half a dozen things about the product. Then the compensation. That's where people get confused, and they're like, I don't know how to tell people about the compensation. I'm like, can you buy it retail? They're like, yes. I was like, I'll tell them that, because that's true. Yeah, you can buy this retail, and here's the cost. Can you buy it wholesale? And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, if you get in, like purchase, get in, can you buy wholesale? Oh, yeah, you can buy wholesale. I would tell them that. If you get in, you could buy wholesale. And then the price drops to this. So it's kind of like Sam's Club or Costco. People relate to that. People know what that means. Because people are like, I would never pay to get in to get a product cheaper. I'm like, do you have a Sam's Club account? They're like, hell yes. I was like, do you have a Costco account? They're like, yes. I'm like, you have both of them? Yeah. I was like, then you're already doing it. I was like, the difference is all the money goes to Costco and not back to the people who refer it. From there, can you make money selling the products if you got a lot of people to do that? Yeah. I was like, well, there's a whole compensation plan. Like, I'm not trying to convince them and tell them the matrix. Like, if you start breaking it down by binary, well, we're a binary comp plan, and we've got a matrix system, and we've got a cash payout that's 7 levels deep, and, you know, this person's like, the average person has no idea what you're talking about. They don't have the vocabulary, or it just sounds weird. And anything that sounds weird or sounds uncomfortable, people don't move forward in. The main thing people want to know, and I found this out through the Direct Sales Association, the main thing people want to know is, how do I get my money back if I get in? If I like what you said about the company, and the company sounds solid, if I like what you said about the need, and I agree that there is that need, and this could solve that need, and that's like a 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 10 there. And then we get to the product, and the product sounds legitimate, the price sounds reasonable, and I'm kind of like, you know, waver on the product because you may never have tried it, or you might not know about it, but it sounds right, and I've got a testimonial from a good friend. And then I get to the comp plan, and you tell me exactly how to get my money back. That's 80%. 80% of people's decision in getting involved has to do with, have you shown them how to get their money back? When I learned that, I was like, ooh, that has to be in the presentation. How many customers and or how many recruits with customers does it take to get your money back in what you're doing? Do you know? What's the break-even point? You got to, that's what's important to people. Now, watch this. That's what's important to people, not the $100,000. That's what's important to people, not buying a Ferrari. Ferrari sounds great. The huge house sounds great. The travel sounds great. All the other stuff you're talking about sounds great, but it's not the reason why people get in. So it's okay to mention that a little bit. Hey, we've got a car program. The details of the car program doesn't matter, but we have a car program. We've got a bonus program. We've got an incentive program. We have a trip program. All those programs are cool. The details aren't important. The important part in the comp plan is here's the 3 ways to make money or 5 ways to make money. There's 17 ways to make money. It doesn't just, hey, there's 17 ways to make money, but the 3 that make sense are there's retail, there's like a wholesale account, and then if you become a rep and you sign up 3 people, 4 people, 10 people, whatever the number is, you don't have to sign anybody up. You just have to sell 3 people this product. You get your money back. So I was just like, I know 3 people who need this. That makes sense. That's easy. Anybody could do that. Do you see how the comp plan makes way more sense when it's like that, rather than if I come into the comp plan, I say, well, the first thing you have to do is you've got to recruit 3 people who recruit 4 people who recruit 8 people, and this leg has to be 2/3, and this leg has to be 1/3, or we're a 50-50 binary, and you've got to get to 1,000 on both sides to get to 2,000, and then it pays out at 10%, and people are like, watch this, most people, if they were given all the classes to take, most people would skip math. And you're doing math and science together in the same field, and that stuff most people, like, they just don't, they're not interested in. They skip that. So you've got to be really elementary on that part. Then you get to, this is actually one of the most important parts after that, is the timing and the talent. Guys, right now, you need to use the words right now. Right now, here's where the company's at and what they're doing, and here's the people who are involved. And what I like, those are key words, what I like or what I was impressed with or what I found. You know how you see a lot of people who have gotten into these companies and never made money? Like, one of my best closings, I said, you know how you've seen a lot of people get into these companies and never made money? It's like, yeah. I was like, well, I finally met some people who are making money, and they showed me what they were doing, and they were doing different things than everybody else. So I started following their plan, and their plan worked. Their plan produced money for me, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people on our team right now that I kind of know how much money they've made, and they've already made all their money back. And they were able to do it in the first, one of them did it in the first week, one of them did it in the first couple days, one of them did it in the first month. That is more impressive to people than, we have a guy on our team that in the first 6 weeks put 86,000 people in. They moved to Hawaii, they bought a mansion, they fly around in a jet, they've got a helicopter, you know, they wanted a cat, so instead they bought a lion. It's like, that is not relatable to people. But raise your hand if you've ever heard that in an event or meeting. Not the tiger, but you understand what I'm saying. I mean, have you guys ever heard this in a meeting or on a Zoom? Like, people go way off. We've got people in our company doing this. And we've got, you know, a guy came in from another company who had made $68 million in 5 minutes. That's great for the network marketers, but for the average person, that's hard. That you're not going to be able to recruit people with that kind of information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over to Bess for a moment. Here's what you need to know about presentations, is you need to be reading something or pointing at something. If you don't have your presentation down where it's 10 minutes, like, this is the most critical thing I can tell you about this entire time we've talked. If you don't have that down, where here's the thing, where it's come to Bess and I, and we've agreed, hey, this is okay, this is what you should be using. If you don't have that done yet, that's the first thing you need to do, honestly. Because until that's done, it doesn't matter what you're presenting to people, because if you don't have it right to begin with, you could say it. Now, some people will figure it out if you show it enough times, but your percentage of people getting in when you are clear clear and concise, when you are, clear, concise, meaning the time frame is short enough, you're confident, and then the last part is you're consistent with the same presentation over and over again. See, when you're consistent with the same presentation over and over again, that IRA, isolate, repeat, accelerate, when you do it over and over again, you become more confident. That's how you get confidence. You don't get confidence by reading a book about confidence. You get confidence by doing it over and over again, by just going through the information. The problem is most of the time people don't understand that every time you go through this, every time you present, it's the person that's getting sold is you. And it's almost like when your belief about it finally pushes through that that threshold where your belief is higher than theirs, do you realize anybody can convince anybody of anything? When your belief becomes greater that they should do it than they shouldn't, that's actually the scientific place where it transfers over. I know that this is the right thing. People are like, okay, well, I trust you with $100 or $200 or $300 or whatever it costs to get in. I trust you. I'd order it. Now, from there are other steps to keep people in, but that's how you get them in. Bess, I'll turn over to you.
Okay, I'm unmute myself. Okay, thank you, Jeff. You know, I got new angles tonight. I got new thoughts, so thank you very much, and want to welcome the people who have joined us even since we began. Welcome Dr. Chris, Becky, Pasha, Doris, and whoever just joined us now at 973. I forgot who that is. I'll have to look it up. Welcome David Roeder, Steve Redden, Erica, and everyone here. So what I got from this was be sure to stand in people's shoes so you understand how it sounds on the other end rather than get all feverish and excited and, okay, I know what, all these words mean, or niacin, it sounds like cyanide or something, or the comp plan, or, the binary double complicated backwards matrix or whatever. So, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to people. So you got to talk, like you would to a 12-year-old. So that anybody can understand. That's how newspapers write their articles, as they write for a 12-year-old. So, if you can't tell it to your kid, if they don't get it, then rewrite your presentation. And some of you have written out your 10-minute presentation. Some of you are working on it. Some of you have brought them to Jeff and me for our feedback on it. And we would love to help you with that. So just contact us, private message us, and we'll let you know how to do that. It's really worth it, you guys. And even if you spend money for us to help you and to coach you, just consider that an investment. By the way, the school is a tax deduction for you, and anything that you spend on your business is a tax deduction. So why not? Why not invest in your business and get your 10-minute presentation written and get help on it? I'll tell you what, when you've gotten it written, why don't you post that in the MLM Millionaire Club? I've got mine written because we want to congratulate you for that, and maybe it'll inspire other people too. So Jeff, that guy that you were describing and how fast he can go, it sounds like you. It sounds like you and Brandy, how fast you guys move to me. Now, for people who are not in those shoes yet, remember that this person was in network marketing before. Remember, Jeff has 24 years of network marketing. You don't have to wait that long to get that confident and that posture, because that's why we're here. We're giving you the shortcuts. The script that has taken some people 20 years to come up with, the methods, the way to do the 10-minute presentation instead of sending them to a darn link or video or something like that. We have gathered the shortcuts that we have learned. I've gathered from other people that Jeff has learned, and we're putting this together for you guys so you don't have to take the 24 years. Holton Buggs, who is one of the top earners in network marketing, said it took me 16 years to become an overnight success. So if you don't feel like, okay, I can't do this tonight, I can't get 20 people in front of my sponsor tonight for presentation, then give yourself a little time. Don't feel, know that if you can't be them, that you can be them given time. It took them time to get there, but it doesn't have to take you that long to get there. They're usually no different or better than you are, even if you're a different personality type, even if you're not a D or dominant type of personality. There's quiet people in network marketing who are multi-millionaires, you guys. There's introverts who are. There's people of all personality types. So you each have your own gifts and talents and ways to shine. Don't think you have to be like that guy that Jeff was describing, or that you have to be like Jeff. There's just be the best you that you can be, and that will be attractive, because we each have gifts that we bring to the table, and that is what will make you successful, just being the best you. But hone those gifts. Use the techniques that we're sharing here in the school, and write up your 10-minute presentation. I'm gonna read you a couple quotes about success versus fear, because I'm going to talk about fear a little bit tonight, because that is the paralyzer, the thing that can hold people back from putting all of this stuff into action. There are people in our school who have heard all this and learned the favor script and the 10-minute presentation, all that, and they say, gosh, I'm still having challenges putting this into action. I wonder why that is. And let me sum it up in one word, and that is fear. Hi, Brandy. Glad to see you. Glad to see you on the camera there, because I knew you were back there. So, fear is the reason. There's many faces of fear, but I'm gonna talk tonight. I'm gonna grab that fear by the face, look it in the face, and talk about ways to bust fear tonight. In case that if you're not already where we're talking about, like the guy that Jeff was describing, if you're not already there, then guarantee there's some fear going on somewhere. So we're going to take a look at that tonight, because we've given you the skills. You have that. So let's just look it in the face. Let's just not leave you feeling like I can never do that. So here's just a couple wonderful quotes. A friend, Alicia Marie Fruin, she's a business coach. And she said, I just had to share this, behind you is infinite power. Before you is endless possibility. Around you is boundless opportunity. Why should you fear? Mark Twain said, do the thing you fear most, and the death of fear is certain. And that's presenting for a lot of people. There's fears of presenting, and we're going to talk about those in just a moment. Miles Davis said, do not fear mistakes. There are none. Does that mean that mistakes and failure are really an illusion? Failure does not mean defeat. Failure means a lesson. Failure means learning, and mistakes mean learning. Does that mean there's nothing to fear? There are no mistakes. Oh my gosh, there's only learning. I think Eric Worre said, I either win or I learn. I either succeed or I learn. And I kept thinking that, okay, the way that you succeed is you set a goal and you succeed. It's that simple, right? Nope. Guess what? Every single person sets a goal. The next thing they do is they fail. Now, choice. We can quit right at that point, or we can learn from that failure. And then we succeed. So 4 steps to success is goal, fail, learn, succeed. Guess what? We can't skip one of those. In other words, you are destined to fail. If you, multi-billionaire Roy Dalio, I think his name, he said, if you are going to push any kind of limits or get outside your comfort zone or push the envelope at all, if you're going to be adventuresome at all, you are going to fail. You are going to fail. You're going to make a fool of yourself. It's not going to work out. You're going to get discouraged, etc. So you're going to fail. If you're growing at all, it's like it's got to be part of growth and success. So there's goal, fail, learn, succeed. Those are the 4 necessary steps. And I think it was Napoleon Hill said that, or John Maxwell. I forget which one, as we're teaching both. But just think, that's got to be part of it. So if you're on the failure part, you're on track. Congratulations. It means to me that you've stepped outside your comfort zone, you've pushed the envelope, you've been so adventurous as to go out and try something new that you haven't done before. And you don't want to do it. You don't want to keep doing what you always did before because you get the same result. So if you're failing, if you're discouraged, if you're facing any sort of uncomfortableness and getting, past a shy personality or anything like that, or facing any types of fear, congratulations, you are on track. This is great. This is awesome. If you, people have called me up and said, wow, I really need your coaching. I'm in a lot of pain right now. And I go, that's great. To people that I know that can hear that, okay, that's great. Congratulations, for being in pain, for being at a turning point when you're calling for help, because now you're going to grow. This is what it takes. It's being in pain and learning from that. So when we are in pain or we're in failure or we're in any kind of discomfort, stretching beyond what we've done before, then we have the choice to quit or to learn from it. And then the next step after learning, remember, is succeed. So there's goal, fail, learn, succeed. So if you're at the failure part and you embrace that and you say, I'm going to learn from my mistakes, congratulations, because what's the next step? Success, you guys. And you may have to repeat that process a number of times, but there are there's little successes on the way to big successes. So just on the other side of failure, if you learn from it, just on the other side is a success. And I had a breakthrough just yesterday. The insights just came and flooded to me, and that happened the day after I felt the worst. Like I was looking at something that I felt stuck within my life, and I was feeling the pain of that. What slept on it, the next day all this stuff flooded in about an obvious solution. And I thought, of course, I forgot to go back to the basics with this. And that stuff, and a plan, that took me like, a little while to write down everything that was coming through, but I pulled over and I wrote that all down. But the highest point came exactly after the lowest point. And that happens a lot of times. So if you're at a low point, congratulations. I think you're on the verge of a birth. Just like giving birth in labor. I've given birth to my son. And what's just on the other side of that? A baby, a brand new life, a miracle, a whole new beginning. And the mother forgets about the pain that she just went through. But don't stop there. Don't give up. So I would like to ask you if you ever heard this. If you ever considered that fear is expensive. You don't want to get stuck with fear. I read these quotes, they help. But I'm going to talk in a minute about some ways to bust fear. Fear is expensive. Think about if you are in any, and fear can look like a lot of things. I just use that generically, but fear can look like telling yourself, fear can look like nervousness, anxiety, being worried, being anguished, even downright terrified. But think about what fear has cost you so far in your life, and specifically in your network marketing business. If you wouldn't have had any fear, and you could go forward without any fear of failure or mistakes, or fear of looking bad, or all the different fears that we have, what could you have made in your network marketing company or companies up until now? Some people have been in this for years, and it might be, $500, it might be $5,000, it might be $500,000, it might be $5 million. I've coached people that they could have made millions and millions by now. They've been in a long time. And if they wouldn't have had the blocks and the fears and the holdback, I think that every holdback you could boil down to one common denominator of fear. So fear is very expensive. It can cost you millions and millions of dollars in the past. Now look forward. If you don't let go of fear, and the negative blocks around that, what will it cost you going forward between now and the end of your life if you stay at the same place and don't bust past the fears that are there in each one of us? We all have some degree of fears. Somewhere we have some fears, or else we'd be at our next step. It's human. People say they don't have fear, aren't looking closely enough, or aren't honest with themselves or you. We all have fears about reaching our next step. That's normal, or else we'd already be there. That's from Napoleon Hill. Every person has some fear of some type. So that's why I'm addressing it tonight. Consider, if you're looking at a current fear right now to get to your next level, consider if you just stay there and give up and give into it and say, oh, it's bigger than me, what will that cost you for the rest of your life in your network marketing business if you don't address that, if you don't bust past the block? I'd say for all of you sitting here, you know, $10 to $100 million. That's what I'm guessing this fear will cost you between now and the end of your life if you don't break through that. You can, and here's some tips how to do that now. That's my motivation to get you to take note. Pick up a pen and paper and note this down. First, we look at the voices that are inside, and some voices that I've heard from clients that come and coach with me about fears that they have was, oh, the people, you know, I don't present to people because I have a fear because I think they already know about it. They've already heard about it from someone else. Well, do you know that that's true? Do you know that everybody out there's already heard about it? Or they fear, the voices inside say, oh, they don't need it or they can't use it. Do you know that that's true? Look at all the people that you have helped already, or that your company has helped, that your products have helped. You have all those testimonials. You hear about all those all the time. Another block that people have or fears, oh, I'm bothering people. That's why we solved it with the always get a yes or the favor script. If you're asking about a referral and you're asking permission before you present. They might, or another block, they might think I only want to use them for business. Well, check and see if you are, if that's true or not. In other words, be friends with them before that point or catch up with them before. That was a great point Jeff had about the business. You know, if you could stay in touch with people every so often, I have been guilty of that. So focused and laser focused that on my business, building my network marketing business in the past, that I have neglected the friendship part until one lady said, oh, all you care about, you know, we were at the gym and I said, hey, I started telling her about my business and she goes, all you care about is your business. I thought, whoops, forgot to care about people. You know, forgot to ask questions. So how are you? You know, what do you do for a living? You know, do you have a family? Do you have pets? You know, asking about the person, getting to know them. And that would take us to Steve's question, which we'll get to after the recording's off, Steve, about how to, you know, if you're asking too many, if people say, well, why so many questions? Why are you so nosy? Or why are you so curious? There is an art to that, and we'll go into that in a little bit. You know, how to kind of know and sense when people are. If they're kind of backing up from you a little bit, you're asking too many questions. If they're looking at you a little funny, if you're just too overly friendly and all that, or like Jeff has said, if you're asking, hey, do you have kids? How many kids? How old are they? I think, what are you, our child kidnapper or something like that? But it's perfectly normal to say, you know, I've got 3 kids. Do you have any? You know, so you can share about yourself first. You can be vulnerable first before you start asking questions with the other person. You know, or gee, what do you do when you're not here? What's your favorite thing to do when you're not here? But then share about yourself too, so they don't feel like they're the only one being interrogated or something like that. Okay, so you wanna be friends with them first, and if you haven't been friends lately with them, then start with that. That's a really good tip. Other people might have a block, well, they won't like me if I'm selling something. You know, like I just want to get their money. Well, that's where the favor script comes in again, because it's indirect. It's not even about them. And they listen with that open mind because they don't have to worry about fending themselves off or explaining to you. Because otherwise, if you approach them head on, hey, do you want to buy my stuff and do you want to be in my company? They're already thinking about reasons to try to tell you no politely, so they can't even hear what you're saying. Whereas with the favor script, it's not about them at all. They do not have to defend. They do not have to come up with any excuses or reasons. So they just have an open door to hearing what you're saying, because it's not about them anymore. So the favor script really solves about several things here. That that you're not bothering them because you're asking permission. You're offering. It's not about them, so they don't have to defend. They're not thinking you're trying to sell something to them, but of course they listen to it indirectly, and then they might decide they're interested as well. So another couple blocks that come up is I don't deserve success, or who do you think you are? And I'm going to get into that in just a minute. Another block that some people have is they unconsciously have a fear about being associated with an MLM, or the stigma, or the scam, or the pyramid scheme, or anything like that. I recommend that they watch Eric Worre's Rise of the Entrepreneur DVD, or something similar, where you can get the testimony and the validation of the famous supporters of network marketing. He has maybe a dozen or 20 people on there, including Tony Robbins and Richard Branson, who say things like, Richard Branson, I'm a tremendous believer in network marketing. And he thinks that the future and, next 20, 30 years are going to be created by network marketing entrepreneurs and other entrepreneurs around the world, making a very real difference in the world. Tony Robbins says, what's beautiful about network marketing is you get all the benefits of being a business owner without all the headaches, without the same level of risk. And so I think network marketing is amazing. Robert Kiyosaki says network marketing gives people the opportunity with very low risk and low financial commitment to build their own income-generating asset and acquire great wealth. Grant Cardone says, by the way, everyone should be involved in network marketing. Just the fact that you get access to an instant network of like-minded people committed to improving their conditions is wealth creation. And Paul Zane Pilsner, today's world, working for yourself is a safer route versus working for a corporation. Jim Rohn, network marketing is really the greatest source of grassroots capitalism because it teaches people how to take a small bit of capital, that's our time, and build the American dream. So we go on and on with David Bach, Brian Tracy, Bob Proctor, Les Brown, Ed Ludbrich, Darren Hardy, publisher of Success Magazine, Doug Lane, Jeffrey's Analysis, Stephen Covey, author of 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, and on and on. I'm going to post a link in our club group about this, just so you can read it, so you can feel confident about being in this profession, and maybe help to overcome any stigma or fear that you might have about being an MLM. I want you to be proud of it because this is a wonderful profession. Some of the best people in the world. I have a professor friend who lives just a couple hours from me here in Kansas. He is a professor of business at the in Lindsborg at the Bethany College, and they have taught there the world's first and only certification for network marketing through a college or university. And when he first came to the school, he just lived right down the street from the school, and he retired from building and selling like 7 businesses, at least one in the $1 million range. So he's retired with his wife on their lake home. They had me over to their lake home, and they rent out camper spaces and rental spaces around the lake and this great lake in Kansas. They live there and they're comfortable. But the college up the street said, hey, now that you're retired, come and teach here. So he said, okay. And when he did, they said, hey, we're thinking about teaching network marketing. We'd like you to investigate it. And he goes, well, okay, but I can tell you now it's not something you're going to want to teach here. And they said, well, would you investigate it? Would you research it anyway? So his name was Professor David Frost. So he did. He researched it. And he said, what I found was respectable people. It was good people, and it's a good business. And all of a sudden, he couldn't poke any more holes in it. He saw people making money in it, making a lot of money, and that they were good people, and that it was a good business. It's simply selling a product or service and training other people to do the same thing. And nowhere else is the beauty of residual income found. He said network marketing now, David Frost now says network marketing is the best business in the world and has the greatest return of investment of any business in the world. So he was happy to teach it there. And he had kids come to his school who were making $4,000 a month. He was training them to do network marketing. They were making $4,000 a month. They graduated without any student loans. So hugely successful. I hope that you are proud of network marketing and can stand proud and be a network marketing professional and not have any fear about that. So let's talk about not deserving success, or some people know all this stuff or they have the skills and they still hang back, believe it or not. People even in our school have come to me for private coaching and said, I still don't have the courage, I still hang back, I'm not sure why. And so we explore that. One of the main, or some of the main causes is, internal fear of I don't deserve success, and who do you think you are, and all that. Goes back to a lot of times what we heard in childhood. We've got to shake that off because that external critic has now become an internal critic. And even though our parents aren't there anymore by our side saying these negative things, we do the job for them. And we'll say that to ourselves. Like, oh, that was dumb, that was stupid. I'm not worth listening to. People won't like me. I don't deserve success. Who do I think I am trying to go for success like this? And the emotions that come along with this are shame, guilt, embarrassment, helpless, disheartened, discouraged. All of these things. Now, I have found four steps to bust these blocks. So I'm going to share them with you guys now. I call this real conversations with ourselves. Number one is we look at the block. Okay, we're not doing our presentations. Number two, we look at the emotions like the ones I just read. It helps to write them down. It helps to name it. It helps to get them out maybe on paper. Number three, we look at the needs that need to be met. The needs might be a need for safety, security, trust, support, encouragement, self-esteem, acceptance, or understanding. Everyone's different, and actually every time I do this process almost daily with myself. I find blocks I run into all the time, and I write down, okay, what's the block? What's the feeling I have behind that? What's the need that I have? And if you don't know all the human needs, I've compiled a chart, which I'll post in the group too. And you can look at all these human needs. I got that from Maslow, from other people, from my own experience of working 30 years with clients and students. So I compiled a list of needs, the most complete list I've ever seen anywhere, ever. I've compiled this list of needs, and I put it in 4 categories: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And you can look through that and say, okay, oh, this one's jumping out at me. I definitely need self-esteem, or I need understanding, or I need security, to feel safe, to approach people. Well, okay, now how do you get that? One way to get that self-esteem and build that up is to say to yourself, I am valuable and lovable, whether somebody wants to hear my presentation or not, whether they respond to my text or not. I am valuable and lovable. Don't take it personally, you guys, because if you send out text to 10 friends, hey, I want to ask you a big favor. I want to let you know what I'm doing in case you run across that right person. You could refer them to me. Is this a good time? If they don't respond back, it isn't because you're rotten, no good, not lovable. They hate you. They hate you for asking. It could be that they're busy. They're distracted. They forgot. They can't answer now. They're on vacation. They're waiting. They're in a waiting room at ICU. Somebody's in the hospital. Their dog died. There's a lot of reasons people don't get back to you. So do not take it personally, and give yourself that respect, and know that you are valuable and lovable no matter what. Another way that I help people bust fear is to think of the people's need instead of yourself. Because did you know that fear is not only expensive, fear is selfish? Check yourself. If you're having trouble doing your presentations or sending out those texts to people, first have your 10-minute presentation written, right? That's the first thing. Next, send out those 10 texts to 10 people. Follow up with those, do another 10, follow up with those, and keep doing that. And try to do at least, end up with doing at least 2 to 5 presentations a day if you want to grow. And if you're not doing that, take a look at why. I guarantee that it'll be one of the reasons is because you are thinking of yourself and not them. Like, oh, what will they think of me? Will they like me? Am I bothering them? And all this stuff. When we shift our focus to the good that we can do for people, that's how I went door to door in my neighborhood when I was selling a health product with network marketing. It was a vitamin mineral herb supplement. And when my neighbor had great results, she got over hot flashes taking my product. And I thought, oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good in the world. And that inspired me to go on and talk to more neighbors, even though I'm a very shy introvert. I couldn't resist. The people out there are not going to know about it if I don't get out there and talk with my neighbors. But other good things can happen. This lady would have never felt better if I wouldn't have had the courage to get out and talk. So anytime I learned that fear is selfish, and that anytime that I focus on fear or focus on me, I could better focus on the person. Second, a need that we might have is skills. That's where these classes are great. And look in your Always Get a Yes book on pages 5 to 12. There's a favor script, how to do your 10-minute presentation, just like Jeff said today. It's that simple. So get the skills down, but practice them. Put them in action, because did you know that action destroys fear? And so just start doing it. Don't wait till you're not afraid, because courage is what we do in the face of fear. I also like to use the imaginative technique. Imagine it going well. Imagine the people that are going to love you, your product, love being on your team, and have great success, and they're going to thank you for the great results they get. That will not happen at all if you hold back. So imagine, because there's going to be some like that, and they're going to be worth all the people who discourage you or drop out or say they're going to be at the meeting and don't show up and all that kind of stuff. So imagine the ones that are going to make it. Now, you can ask your sponsor to do this process with you if you can teach this process to them, or if you have a sponsor who already knows this, or invite them to the school so they can learn it too. But have somebody, if you're really, leery, you're not sure how to do it, have somebody do it with you. Maybe even Jeff or I could do that with you, or be a substitute sponsor that way. Ask somebody to walk you through that. One lady that I worked with, she got over her fear by having a picture of her kids sitting on her desk when she made her calls to remember her why. And then lastly, fall in love with the mistakes. Fall in love with the learning process. Embrace that and say, see yourself as growing each time. I know, Jeff, we're approaching your time you need to leave. Oops. Did you unmute yourself? Yeah. Jeff needs to be unmuted if you want to speak. Or are we just going right into the...
Okay, guys, so real quick. The biggest thing is that anybody can do this. And it's really, there are people that you need to go talk to, that you need to present to, not because it's for you, but because it's for them, or it's because it's for someone that they're going to go talk to who needed this even more than you did. If you look at the greater good of what you're doing, is being able to share this with somebody who needs it, They need it more than you do. I mean, there's people literally sitting at home right now. It's Sunday. They're about to go to work Monday, and they're like, I don't know how I'm going to make my mortgage payment. I don't know how I'm going to make my car payment. I don't know how I'm going to. I mean, I literally listened to a guy, and it was, I don't think there was a dry eye in the entire place, but he's like, guys, I didn't have enough money to feed my daughter. And, you know, she was young. I mean, this was like 1-year-old, cried all night. He's like, yes, she went without food for one night. I mean, and anybody that has kids or anybody that can even imagine that, I mean, you can almost not even put that into perspective of how bad you would feel. He goes, but it was because of that one night that I went out and did everything I was going to do. And we heard a great story. And basically today, you get into a position where you've had to start at the bottom and climb, right? And most of us have started at the bottom and we've climbed to a certain point in our profession. And what most people don't ever want to do is you don't want to humble yourself to go back down to the bottom to do it all over again in another thing. This is why people stay at horrible jobs for 40 years. This is why people stay in terrible relationships for 40 years. This is why people have these habits that are terrible for them. They just don't want to start over. So A, you need to do it because you do need to start over, and B, you need to go out and do this because there is somebody out there that isn't feeding their kid right now. That's going to be the story. He's like, if somebody wouldn't have shown this to me, guys, I would have not been able to get out of the situation I was in. And there's story after story after story like that of people who are struggling. They want it. They're willing. Here's the thing. They might not be the people in your phone, but they might be the people in your phone that know the people that are in your phone. Those are the ones that need it. And here's the thing. We also heard tonight somebody talking to somebody that said, no, or over the weekend, somebody said, no, I'm not interested. You know, don't ever talk to me about this again. And then it was weeks later that it was brought up in conversation, and they're like, you know what, here's who you need to go talk to. They wanted nothing to do with it, told the person, no, I don't want anything to do with it, and then ended up referring them to somebody. Guys, everybody that was speaking on stage was making a certain amount of money or more. I mean, unbelievable. And it's just because, you know, a lot of times we don't want to do that because why? We're scared. Being scared isn't an excuse to not do it. So that's what I have, Bess. I'm going to go ahead and turn this back over to you, and we're going to make it off to our event. I just appreciate everybody for being on. I did leave a note in here. If anybody has any other questions, feel free to instant message me. Crazy enough, we're up at crazy hours. You know, and being in Vegas has even gotten worse because there are no clocks here, people. No clocks. You have no idea what time it is. In fact, there's no clocks and no windows. So you, like, sometimes don't know what time. Like, last night we came back, I was like, what time is it? And I was like, well, it's 3 o'clock a.m. here, which means it's 6 o'clock a.m. This is the problem of why when I get back to Indiana I have such a hard time adjusting because, you know, the hours are just so weird and late. I need to, like, go to the other side of the world just so I can readjust to, like, normal life. Because that way when we're up late there, it'll be the same time here. I need to go to, like, England or somewhere like that. So if you know of anybody that I need to go stay with, just let me know. And we'll present while on the way. So I appreciate everybody for jumping on here, Bess. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording at this point, and I'll go ahead and exit and leave the rest of this up to you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks for a great class, and have fun.
Absolutely.